This video has been made possible by our amazing sponsor, Squarespace, the simple and easy way to create a beautiful and professional website. Check it out, and for a free trial and even 10% off, use the discount code found in this video. Remember, a better web starts with your website. Hey everybody, welcome to this video tutorial brought to you by Tutvid.com, and today we're going to look at bringing an Instagram feed into your website. Just as you see here, I've brought an Instagram feed into this little HTML site that I'm working on, and these are all images that are tagged with the tag Philly is ugly. Now, you can target a specific user, maybe just the popular images on Instagram, any tag you want. We're going to go through how this is done, and it's really easy to do. It may seem like this is complicated to do, but it's actually quite simple to do. We're going to use Dreamweaver to do it. But the first thing you need to do is grab this script. It's called InstaFeed, instafeedjs.com. You can grab this file called instafeed.js, save it onto your hard drive, somewhere you can get to it later. It's totally free to do, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to set it up and get your own Instagram feed running. So once you've grabbed the instafeed.js file, you need to go to your Instagram account, make sure you're logged in, go to instagram.com/developer. And once you're into this page, go ahead and hit the Manage Clients button. This is going to bring you into this page. Now, I've blurred out this current client ID because this is for a project that I was working on. We're going to create a brand new client. So we're going to register a new client because we need this thing called a client ID to sort of authenticate our call to Instagram. If you don't understand quite yet, don't worry. Just hang in there, follow along. You'll see how it all works in just a moment. We want to go register a new client. Now, when you do this, you may Instagram may want you to validate your phone number or just confirm your phone number or something like that, depending on how much you've registered your account with Instagram and set yourself up. You may have to just confirm a couple things. But you want to get to this page, register new client ID, give your application a name. I'm going to just name this Feed Tutvid, like so, and I'm going to close that. I'm going to go to description, and I'm going to name it Tutvid Tutorial Feed. Just like that. And then for website, I'm just going to say http tutvid.com, http://tutvid.com, and I'm going to copy that and paste it right into the authentication redirect URI. Now, how all this authentication process works, I'm not going to go over that right now. This is how Instagram is sort of going to authenticate things. But Instagram does have additional information on this if you're curious about it, or you can run some Google searches, and there are plenty of people who have written articles and talked about it as well. Go down to the CAPTCHA. Boom. I'm going to fill this out. It's 289999598. Cool. And then I'm just going to hit the register button, and boom, there we go. We've registered this new feed. So you can see here's the client ID. I'm not going to blur this out. However, you're not going to be able to use this exact client ID because as soon as this tutorial is over, I'm going to delete this client ID, in fact, this whole entire client that we just created. But yeah, so you'll have to create your own and work with your own client ID. But this client ID is what we're going to use in just a moment. So now that we've done that, let's jump over into Dreamweaver where we have this simple website. I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to preview it in my browser by hitting F12. So we can see what I've got is just a gray page that says Instagram feed at the top. We want to pipe Instagram images into this imaginary box that is floating here below Instagram feed. I've dropped a div in and just sized it up. But really, you can do this however you like. Here's that little bit of text that says Instagram feed, right, that we see right there at the top. Instagram feed, cool. So now we have right below Instagram feed, we want to create a new div. So I'm going to say div, and then I'm going to give it an ID. I'm going to name this ID Insta Feed. I'm going to close the div, and then I'm just going to make a quick note that this is the Insta Feed div. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is the instafeed.js file is going to look for a div with an ID of InstaFeed. It's going to pipe our Instagram images inside of the div named InstaFeed. So that's the important little thing that you want to make sure you do. Create a div and give it the ID of InstaFeed. That way it will work with our script when we bring it in here. So now what we need to do is go grab the script and bring it here into our Dreamweaver site. You can see I have a folder here called Style. Within the folder Style, I have a folder called Scripts. And I want to bring that instafeed.js file inside of the scripts folder. Now you can drag it into whatever folder you like. This is just my method of kind of organizing things. I have InstaFeed here on my desktop. I'm in Adobe Bridge. I'm going to right click on it. and I'm going to choose cut, and then I'm going to jump back here to, this is the script folder, just there's one little jQuery file in here. I'm going to paste it into here, instafeed.min.js. Go back to Dreamweaver, and well, it looks like it didn't copy, but it actually did. We just need to hit the little refresh button here. There it is, instafeed.min.js. So now what we're going to do is jump up here within our head tag. So we've got head and the closing head tag. So before the closing head tag, I want to add a line of space, and we're going to punch in this code. So we're going to say script, and then I'm going to say src for source, and the source, I'm going to just select this browse option. I'm going to choose site root. That's going to bring me right to the root level of the current site that I'm in. That's just to make sure that I'm not in one of my other Dreamweaver sites. I'm going to double click on style, double click on scripts, and there is my instafeed.min.js file. There we go. We've placed that in there. And the next thing I'm going to do is just specify type. So I'm going to choose type, and then I'm going to say text / JavaScript, like so. Cool. Close the script file, or closing angle bracket, excuse me, and then we're going to close off the script tag just like so. Now that we've done that, we have linked our HTML file to this JS file. So this whole index.html file can now talk to this instagram.min.js. So if I go back out to this file, or this page, and I refresh it, you can see nothing's happened yet. And nothing's happened because all we've done is connected this JS file to the HTML file. We haven't told it what to do yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We're going to add another JavaScript tag here. So I'm going to say script, and in this case, I'm just going to specify that the type is text / JavaScript. And then I'm going to enter return a couple times and put the closing script tag. Now, in here, within this open and close script tag, I'm going to begin typing a little bit of code. So this is going to basically be a variable that's going to hold the information that's going to talk to div, our div instafeed. So I'm going to start by saying var, and then I'm going to name the variable. So I'm going to name it feed. This is just basically right from the example on the instafeed.js site. So var feed, and it's going to equal a new instance of the instafeed. And we're going to say open parenthesis, open curly bracket, enter return twice, close curly bracket, close parenthesis, semicolon to close that off. So we've created this new instance of instafeed, and we want to execute this function. But before we do that, we're going to put some kind of parameters here within the function. Now these are going to basically be, okay, what do you want instafeed to do? Well, what we want it to do is we want it to go out and grab images that are tagged with a specific tag. So we're going to start by saying get space, open and close double quotes, and I'm going to say tagged. So this is specifying that we're going to be targeting tagged images. Then I'm going to put a comma, and we're going to now specify the tag. So we're going to say tag name, and name has a capital N, and the tag name is going to be Philly is ugly. Now, Philly is ugly is a tag that I created for a film project I was working on at the late summer of 2013, and there's still some people that use it. I still use it when I'm taking photos of Philly. It's kind of a little tongue-in-cheek because of the reputation Philly has of being an ugly city. So we kind of poke some fun at it and just say, yep, Philly's ugly, and then take cool pictures of the city. So I'm going to say comma, and now that we know we're going to get tagged images, and specifically images tagged with Philly is ugly, we now need to punch in our client ID to authenticate this whole mess. So I'm going to say client ID. Now it's important with ID, the I is capitalized, but the D is not. And then the client ID is going to go within these double quotes. So I'm going to jump back over to my Manage Clients page in Instagram, client ID, right there. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to paste it in there. There we go. So I'm going to save this file. Now, we still haven't done anything because all we've done is loaded our instafeed function here with these few bits of data. We now need to basically tell JavaScript, okay, take instafeed and run it. Go ahead and run this function. So outside of my curly bracket, parenthesis, semicolon, we're going to hit enter or return, and we're going to target that variable. The variable's name is feed. Remember, feed equals this new instance of instafeed. So we're going to say feed.run, open and close parentheses, semicolon. And we're going to save this file. So what we've just done is we've said, okay, this whole thing, run this whole process, and remember, instafeed.js is looking to dump these images that are tagged, Philly is ugly, into a div named instafeed. So it's going to grab all this stuff and dump it into a div named instafeed. So now that I've saved this, I'm going to go back out here to this, and I'm going to refresh this page and check this out. we have all these images coming through. Now they're spaced nicely because I have some CSS, but I'm actually going to go over to my layout.css file. Let's delete this, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing there. We'll rewrite that CSS code so I can explain to you what's going on. When you bring those images through, this is what they're going to look like. There's no rollovers. There's nothing like that. There's no spacing. It's just 16 images brought through. Thumbnails are 150 pixel by 150 pixel. Now, before we go any further, it is important to note, if you go to the InstaFeed.js website, you have all these different options here. You can get not only tagged images, you can get images from a specific location, maybe just popular images on Instagram at the time, or you can even get images from a specific user. So let's say you want to take your Instagram feed and bring it onto your website. You can do that. Now notice, you do need to look into more information because you need to get something here called an access token. Now again, we're not going to talk about how to do this in this tutorial. We're going to keep things simple here, just with some of the standard options. And then there are even some advanced kind of callback functions and different options here that you can do as well. Again, we're not going to get into that. But just take note of some of the standard stuff, right? Get started with the easy stuff. User ID. You've got sorting options. Do you just want to go with the most recent photos displaying first? And this is the default setting. You can just say, hey, I want to show the most liked images first, the most commented images, or maybe just a totally random order of images. You can get rid of the link to Instagram, and you can specify the number of images you want to come through. So you can see right now we have 16 coming through, but let's say I want 32 to come through. All right, so I can see that the word that I need to punch in here, the option is limit. So I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and after tag name, I'm going to say, all right, limit colon, and then in double quotes, I'm going to say 32. So let's double the number. And then after that, of course, put a comma because we now have the client ID coming up at the end. So we're upping the limit from 16, which appears to be the default in this case, to 32. So I'm going to save this. We're going to go back out to our Instagram feed page. I'm going to refresh it. And look at this. Now we have 32 images that are coming through. And again, this is a live updating feed. So if somebody posts an image right now and hashtag Philly is ugly, you're going to have another image come onto here, and then this one will drop off, and so on and so forth. So you're never going to have to worry about updating this, as you hopefully may well expect. So now that we've done that, this is all great. We can do something as simple as get rid of both of these and just change get tagged to get popular. If you can spell popular correctly, there we go. And you're going to see, we're going to go back to 16 images, and it's whatever is popular on Instagram right now at this very moment. All right, so it's pretty easy to go in and start making changes. I'm going to go back to the 32 images tagged with Philly is ugly. Now that we've done that, we're going to write some CSS. So let me just refresh the page, let the Instagram feed repopulate. I want to put some spacing between these images and maybe even make a little bit of a rollover when somebody rolls over any one of the images. So let's jump back into Dreamweaver, and I have a CSS file here. And I'm going to write some CSS code. So the first thing I'm going to start with is just simply adding some spacing to the initial images. So I'm going to say InstaFeed, which, hashtag InstaFeed. The hashtag, all that's doing is targeting that ID, right, for that div. We have div ID InstaFeed, so we're targeting that. And then we're going to say the images within that InstaFeed div. So the first thing we're going to do is say padding, and let's just throw 5 pixels of padding around those images. So I save that. Let's jump back out and check to see what we've done. Cool, so now they're all spaced very nicely. That's great. Let's go back into Dreamweaver, and let's set a default opacity of 0.8. That's actually 80%. Opacity 1 would be 100%. And we're also just going to make sure that this works kind of in all browsers by going filter alpha and open and close parenthesis, opacity equals 80, and then throw a semicolon on the end of that. Great. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to save my HTML file as well. Let's go back out and see what this does. And there we go. These now are all at 80% opacity, so slightly see-through. We're going to go back to Dreamweaver, and now we want to create a hover state. So I'm going to say InstaFeed, hashtag InstaFeed, img : hover. So when somebody hovers over any one of these individual images, basically we just want the opacity to go back to 100. So filter alpha, opacity equals 100, just like so. Cool, let's save that. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to refresh the page, and look at that. When I roll over any image, now it looks like we have something that, it just brightens up a little bit when you roll over it, as if to say, hey, you can click on me. And in fact, if you click on, like this one here is one that I uploaded to Instagram, it takes you right to my Instagram page, and you can like the image, you can comment it, you can check out my profile, anything like that. And you can do the same for any of these other images where you can check to see who took the picture, etc., etc., etc. So we've done that. And that's pretty much it. Again, you can go back over to the instafeed.js site. You can start exploring a lot of these different options, the advanced options, and even targeting a specific user. Again, targeting a specific user can be really, really useful if you want to go ahead and just pipe your personal Instagram feed, let's say into your blog or into your website, or maybe a client's website. They have an Instagram feed. There's all kinds of different things you can do, and pair the HTML and the JavaScript with some cool CSS, and you can do things like rounding the corners of each of these images. Maybe you want them to all appear as, rounded square, or squares with rounded corners, or maybe just completely circular. Maybe you want to throw a border around them, or a border that's going to change colors, things like that. When you roll over it, maybe just a border shows up on the bottom so as to make it look like there's an underline, or some kind of content becomes visible when you roll over these images. There's so much that you can do with this just using some CSS, some CSS3, things like that. So I urge you to play around with it, have some fun with it. You can use Dreamweaver. I'm using Dreamweaver here just for this tutorial. You can write this code, obviously, as you see, in any HTML editor anywhere. You just need to make sure that you're linked up with your file and you've got a valid client ID. I am actually going to go and delete this client ID just so you can see me delete it before the tutorial is even over. So there you go. That's it. That is it for this tutorial. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I hope you learned a thing or two, and hopefully you'll be getting some Instagram feed action on your own websites very, very shortly. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Hey guys, this video was generously sponsored by our great friends over at Squarespace.com, the simple and easy way to build a beautiful website, a responsive website, a mobile-friendly website. In fact, if you get over to Squarespace.com right now and use the discount code TUTVID, you'll get 10% off your first purchase, and if you sign up for a full year, you're gonna get a free domain name, and it's like $8 a month. So I strongly urge you to get over there and check it out. They've got great 24/7 live chat available with offices in New York City and Dublin, Ireland. You can do all kinds of things with your Squarespace account, e-commerce sites, do artist portfolios. Check out some of these sites as they've been scrolling by here on the screen. There's no credit card required. You can go over there, again, discount code TUTVID, and you can start building a website today. Highly recommend it, and thank you so much, Squarespace, for supporting TUTVID. You guys rock.